Hey there, community. I'm Sister Leslie, and thanks for being here. There's always something going on at Godspace, and you're always welcome to connect. Coming up on October 25th, we're hosting a virtual prayer in lieu of All Saints and All Souls. We'll have a little scripture, some reflection, a ritual, and a little optional sharing. It'll be really nice, so I hope you can come. There's a sign-up form on the Godspace website, and if you sign up, we'll send you the link for the prayer. There are other events and spiritual things there too, so check it out. Now let's get started with our reflection. We'll read the gospel for this Sunday and go from there.
The Gospel of Mark. James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to Jesus and said to him, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." He replied, "What do you wish me to do for you?" They answered him, "Grant that in your glory we may sit one at your right and the other at your left." Jesus said to them, "You do not know what you are asking. Can you drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized?" They said to him, "We can." Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink you will drink, and with the baptism with which I am baptized you will be baptized. But to sit at my right hand or at my left is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared." When the 10 heard this, they became indignant at James and John. Jesus summoned them and said to them, "You know that those who are recognized as rulers over the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones make their authority over them felt. But it shall not be so among you. Rather, whoever wishes to be great among you will be your servant. Whoever wishes to be first among you will be the slave of all. For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many."
What comes across clearly in the readings this Sunday is the contrast between the humble servant depicted in the first two readings and the glory the disciples seek in the gospel. In Isaiah and in the letter to the Hebrews, we meet a humble servant, someone who is accessible to us, who has endured suffering and so knows and understands our suffering in a deeply personal way. And of course, we're meant to see Jesus as this servant. Jesus has demonstrated through all four Gospels that he is this, an approachable faith leader, an accessible God. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but who has similarly been tested in every way, yet without sin. Then in the gospel, James and John come to Jesus and pretty much demand that he gives them glory, the honor to sit at either side of him. They just don't get it. Leading, according to Jesus, is about service. It's not about your own privilege, but about other people. He contrasts his leadership with that of secular leaders. They lord it over other people and make their own power felt. Jesus, on the other hand, who is Lord, does not lord power over people. He enters in relationally, healing, preaching, teaching, whatever a person needs. What a strong call to faith leaders today. I'm sure you know as well as I do that there are ministers in every Christian denomination and non-denomination who are all up in their privilege, who lord power over other people and make the ministry all about them. And there are also ministers who are present to people, who live a Pope Francis and Cointreau kind of ministry, who serve alongside people instead of over them. What a difference that makes. It's interesting to me that Christian leaders, those who follow Jesus, think it's okay to minister in the vision of James and John, but not the vision of Jesus. It's interesting to me, too, that the people of God put up with this. In her book, Dare to Lead, Brené Brown calls this dynamic power over versus power with. On her website, brenebrown.com, she offers a chart to differentiate between the two and says, power over is driven by fear. Daring and transformative leaders share power with, empower people to, and inspire people to develop power within. This sounds a lot like Jesus to me. Look how many people he healed, not by controlling them, but by asking them what they wanted. Look how many so-called sinners he forgave and then empowered to change their lives simply by saying, go and don't sin anymore. Look at how many people he simply brought with him to join him in mission. And those who joined him in mission were empowered, but not for their own advantage. He empowered them to serve. There was nothing glamorous about hanging out with Jesus. In my years of doing ministry, I've experienced both power over and power with kinds of ministers, but I've been really blessed to have power with kinds of bosses. When I taught high school, I had principals who supported me, who really mentored me so that I grew as a teacher. When I worked at a parish, I had a pastor who did the same, who challenged me to do hard things like scripture reflections, but who also supported me as I grew. And in turn, I hope I was that kind of leader to my students, someone who recognized their gifts and challenged them to use them, and supported them when it was hard. I didn't know the words power with, but I hope my students knew that I was with them. Whether or not we identify as leaders or ministers, each of us as a Christian has a call to serve other people. Anytime we enter into service, we can either lord our privilege over others, like, I am here to serve you, less fortunate people. Or we can enter in relationally, human to human, like we're all in need and we all have something to give. How do we serve out of our humility and genuine presence rather than our privilege? I think we need to keep calling each other to that kind of power with service-oriented leadership. And we need to listen to God. God, who is almighty, does not hold power over us, but is deeply with us, seeking to enter into the human experience, our every experience, thought, feeling, and relationship. How do we open ourselves to God who wants to be with us so deeply? And how do we mirror that loving presence to other people? And here are some questions for more reflection. What What kinds of experiences have you had with leaders? How does it feel to have a power with, rather than a power over kind of leader? Who is Christ for you? And do you allow Christ to enter into a relationship with you, or do you keep Christ at arm's length? How is that for you? How do you enter into service with other people? And how is God calling you to serve now? Thanks for listening to the Providence podcast. I hope you continue to connect with God's Space and, of course, the Sisters of Divine Providence of Kentucky as well. As you enter this week, may you notice all the ways that God cares for you. And may we all take good care of each other. Peace.